We're working to connect a region of over 600 million bridges between our lands.
Hello, I'm Alma Angeles. We're moving to the next stage of the pandemic, and as the world resets to the new normal, we find ourselves seeking the right balance between health and livelihood, constantly adjusting the boundaries between liberty and responsibility. Welcome to ASEAN in Focus. First, Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara underscored at the United Nations Human Rights Council that the Philippines' transparent and strong institutions ensure that the government's responses to the challenges facing the country, including drugs, corruption, terrorism, and crimes, are within the law and in full respect for human rights. Take a look.
The campaign against illegal drugs is being carried out without due regard for the rule of law, due process, and the human rights of people who may be using or selling drugs. The report finds that the killings have been widespread and systematic, and they are ongoing.
Our president ran and won on a campaign promise of a drug-free Philippines, where our people are safe and their rights protected. The president has discharged this mandate faithfully. After 4 years, the president and his anti-drug campaign enjoyed the strong and widespread support of our people. Claims that there is impunity or near impunity in the country find no anchor in a system that provides every avenue to examine, establish, and pursue a claim of wrongdoing by a state actor, if such claim is substantiated with facts.
He also informed the Geneva-based body that the Department of Justice heads a review panel that's conducting a judicious review of the 5,655 anti-illegal drugs operations where deaths occurred. The Philippine National Police, he said, is obliged by its internal mechanisms to conduct MOTU or motu proprio investigations, whether or not there are complainants on all law enforcement operations that result in deaths, and take action on the basis. Now, this review mechanism, led by the DOJ, is external to the PNP and is tasked with re-evaluating each of these cases and undertake re-investigate or file appropriate charges as warranted. The panel engage affected families and provides them with legal options and assistance in the criminal prosecution of law enforcers who have overstepped legal bounds in their operations. It will present a report on its work by the end of November of this year. Justice Guevara added that this review mechanism will not only enforce or reinforce accountability on the drug campaign, but will also tighten the web of existing mechanisms to prevent cases of impunity in the country, such as the AO35 interagency body that monitor and pursue cases of extra-legal killings, enforced disappearances, and torture. He also said Real Numbers PH is a monitoring platform that has ensured public transparency and full accountability in the anti-illegal drug campaign since 2016. Now, this platform accounts for and publishes evidence-based outcomes of the campaign across 42,046 villages across the country, as well as figures on law enforcement actions and drug-related cases in the courts. Maldives Immigration launches operations to identify undocumented workers. Live from Maldives is Steffi Dewan. Hello, Steffi.
Yes, Alma, that's the latest news for today. Maldives Immigration on Monday announced a special operation to identify undocumented migrant workers based in island across the archipelago and bring them under immigration's custody. According to the institution, the operation is currently underway, conducted with assistance from Maldives Police Service as well as respective island councils. Immigration stated that 22 undocumented expatriates were identified in Himapushi in Kapu Atoll and Danguete and Maamigili in Ali Dalu Atoll on Monday alone. The aforementioned workers are placed in the care of authorities. In addition to undocumented expats, the operation is also locating migrants across the country who threatens social harmony. Maldives Immigration has formerly launched various operations to identify undocumented workers with little success. However, in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, the authorities as well as several foreign missions in Maldives have been working to arrange charter flights for repatriations. Accordingly, over 3,000 expatriates workers have returned home till date. Bangladeshi citizens make up the majority of the expatriate populations in Maldives, which numbers at over 144,600, out of which authorities have previously estimated that 63,000 were undocumented. Indian and Sri Lankan citizens also make up a considerable part of the Maldivian expat population. Most of the workers reside in capital Male, which is one of the most densely populated cities in the world. And for the additional COVID-19 updates, as of 6 p.m. today, confirmed an additional 24 cases of COVID-19 infections in Maldives, with a total number of 2,361 cases. And at exactly 1:50 p.m. yesterday, Alma, a 43 years old Filipino male kababayan who has admitted at IGMH Hospital has passed away. The whole Filipino community here would like to extend our condolences. Our thoughts and prayers are with the bereaved family. This is the 9th COVID-19 death in Maldives. Back to you, Alma.
All right, we're sorry to hear that. Thank you very much for your update there in Maldives. Steph, stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you so much, Alma. Once again, this is Stephanie Juan reporting live from Maldives, and we live in interesting times.
Meanwhile, in Malaysia, the country is preparing to reopen its theme parks. That and more news from Mirna Soriano, joining us live from Kuala Lumpur. Hello, Mirna.
Hi, Alma. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
For the latest news, Malaysia will allow from today, July 1st, the reopening of theme parks, including those offering water attractions such as swimming pools, said Senior Minister Security Ismail Sabri Yaqub on Monday, June 29. Datuk Seri Ismail said the approval would involve 54 theme parks and a workforce of more than 10,000 nationwide. Meanwhile, the government will also relax temperature checking for mall and hotel visitors. Those who visit these places would need to have their respective temperatures checked only once when they enter the building, Mr. Ismail said. Temperatures check will not be needed anymore at every shop in the mall or every restaurant in a hotel, which is the current practice. The relaxed measures dovetailed with other moves adopted by Malaysia as it gradually winds down its coronavirus lockdown. The government recently allowed barbers and hairdressing salons to reopen, for restaurants to allow their tables to be fully filled by diners, and for places of worship to be partly reopened. But temperature checks must still be conducted and hand sanitizers doled out to customers and visitors. Meanwhile, 3 among the country's largest organized crime syndicates, suspected of being involved in smuggling of migrants and robberies, have been crippled following the arrest of 111 gang members. Also arrested were the leaders of the 3 groups known as Otong Gang, Halim Gang, and Hussein Mongdao Gang. The Otong Gang is headed by an Indonesian and is active in Johor, while Halim Gang, led by a local, is active in Perak, and an ethnic Rohingyan leads the Hussein Mongdao Gang, active in Penang. Bukit Aman CID Director Datuk Huzair Mohammed, during a press conference yesterday, June 30, said the Otong Gang was found to be actively smuggling migrants since 2014. Huzair said the Halim Gang, which had about 13 members, was found to be actively smuggling migrants in waters of Hutan Melintang, Perak since 2017. According to Huzair, leaders and members of gangs had been arrested several times, with some even charged in court. However, the group continued to remain active. Huzair said all those arrested were aged between 28 and 68, while the seizures, estimated to be worth about 1.5 million ringgit, included 29 mobile phones, a fishing boat, 2 speedboats, 5 cars, 2 motorcycles, and 1,500 ringgit in cash. Huzair said all the confiscated items were believed to have been used in smuggling operations, and police were currently in pursuit of 8 remaining members of the group, namely 2 from Otong Gang, 4 from Halim Gang, and 2 from Hussein Mongdao Gang. Hussein also added that with the strong enforcement, police believe that they can eliminate the security threat posed by organized crime syndicates. And that is the news for today. Back to you, Alma.
Thank you, Myrna, for your updates there in Kuala Lumpur. Thank you, EBC Malaysia Bureau.
Thank you. And reporting live from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, this is Myrna Soriano. We live in interesting times.
In Vietnam, the country has grounded 27 Pakistani pilots over fake licenses concern. Ralph Vandolph, Empire reports.
27 Pakistani pilots working for Vietnamese airlines have been suspended following Pakistan discovering 262 local pilots use fake airplane licenses. Dean Viet Thang, head of the Civil Aviation Administration of Vietnam, or CAAV, said Saturday that the decision had come into force on Thursday. The grounded pilots are those having airplane licenses issued by Pakistan. The suspension will be removed if Vietnamese aviation authorities review proves their licenses and qualifications are legal, Thang said. Minister of Transport Nguyen Van The had earlier requested CAAV to ground Pakistani pilots to review their licenses and suspend foreign pilots using Pakistan-issued certificates suspended to be counterfeit. They also asked CAAV to review the qualifications of all foreign pilots working for Vietnamese airlines and address suspected cases of fraud. The administration must report to the Transport Ministry by the end of next month. Thang of CAAV said that initial findings show no foreign pilot, apart from the Pakistani pilots, have Pakistan-issued certificates. Last month, Pakistani authorities suspended 262 pilots on suspicion of using fraudulent licenses after an initial investigation into a Pakistan International Airplanes, or PIA, plane crash in May came to light. This is Ralph Vandal of Empire bringing you the latest updates here in Vietnam. We live in interesting times.
Meanwhile, doctors are expecting a rise in acute respiratory infection in Singapore as the economy continues to reopen, and the Singapore election campaign is in full swing. Joining us live from Singapore is John Lord Cruz. Hello, John Lord.
Hello, good afternoon, Alma, and good afternoon to all those out there. So here's the latest updates. Doctors here say that they expect more cases of acute respiratory infection, or ARI, as Singapore's economy continues to reopen, following a drop in the number of such cases during the circuit breaker period. The Straits Times newspaper reported that healthcare professionals said there were a number of possible reasons for the fewer cases, and Dr. Edwin Chung, medical director of Parkway Shenton, said this is probably because of the effective measures imposed by the government during the circuit breaker. Dr. Tan Yat Leng, a general practitioner at EH Medical Clinic, posited an alternate explanation, saying it could be because people are working from home and feel that a medical certificate won't make much of a difference, or because their symptoms are so mild, they prefer to treat it themselves. But a third possibility is that patients are afraid of the potential consequences of visiting a clinic while they have an ARI, said family physician Aziz Noordin. Patients with ARI have been the focus of COVID-19 swab testing as part of efforts to contain the spread of the disease here. On June 2, it was announced that all students above the age of 12 in school staff with ARI would be tested upon seeing a doctor. On June 19, this was expanded to include those aged 45 and above. Finally, on June 25, the Ministry of Health said anyone aged 13 and up with ARI would be tested from July 1. The doctor said that while the Health Ministry has set out general symptoms of ARI as being cough, sore throat, runny nose, and loss of sense of smell, other reasons for having ARI-like symptoms could include underlying conditions such as asthma or allergies, or a patient being a smoker. Determining if one of these symptoms is due to an ARI and not something else is up to the individual doctor. The doctors urge people with ARI symptoms to get checked, even if it means that they will get swabbed. However, they all assured that the test is quick and relatively painless. So for the campaigning for Singapore's July 10 general election or GE 2020 is now underway after nomination day submissions ended yesterday with all 31 constituencies being contested. With GE 2020 taking place amid the COVID-19 outbreak, supporters were not allowed into the nomination centers this year. The returning officers only allowed the candidates, their subscribers, and members of the media into the centers where they adhered to safe distancing measures. Nomination day threw up a few surprises, with Deputy Prime Minister Heng Swee Keat leaving Tampines GRC to head the slate at East Coast GRC, while Minister for Social and Family Development Desmond Lee moved to West Coast GRC from Jurong GRC. Among opposition candidates, Singapore Democratic Party or SDP Chairman Paul Tambia will square off in Bukit Panjang SMC against the People's Action Parties or PAP Liang Eng Hwa, while SDP's Chi Sun Wan will return to Bukit Batok SMC to contest the seat where he lost a by-election in 2016. Pasir Ris Punggol is the only GRC that will see a three-concern fight involving PAP, Singapore Democratic Alliance, and the People's Voice. In all, 192 candidates from 11 parties will contest the 13th general election since independence. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much, John Lord. Thank you for your updates there in Singapore.
Thank you very much. This is John Lord Cruz reporting live. We live in interesting times.
And Vietnam has extended its automatic stay for stranded foreigners there due to the pandemic until July 31st. Chriselle Lacuna joins us live from Ho Chi Minh City. Hello, Chriselle.
Hello, Alma. Good afternoon to you and to all of our viewers. For the latest COVID-19 update, the country has gone 76 days without community transmission of the novel coronavirus. It has recorded 355 infections without any deaths. Now let's go over our first headline. Vietnam extends automatic stay for stranded foreigners as COVID-19 continues. Foreigners who entered Vietnam since March 1 but remained stranded due to COVID-19 travel restrictions can have their temporary stay permits extended another month until July 31. The move involves 1 month extension to current policy issued in mid-May that allowed foreigners entering the country on tourist visa, e-visa, or visa exemption since March 1 to have their stay automatically extended until June 30. With the latest announcement made by the Immigration Department under Ministry of Public Security on Tuesday, foreigners will be automatically given free permit extensions until July 31, meaning they could leave Vietnam within the time period without undergoing official procedures. Those who entered Vietnam before March 1 are also eligible to have their stay automatically extended until the end of July if they could prove they were stranded in Vietnam due to COVID-19 pandemic, as confirmed by relevant diplomatic missions, or could provide documents issued by Vietnamese authorities to confirm they were quarantined or treated for COVID-19, among other reasons. Any foreigner who has been given automatic temporary residence permit extension has to declare their residency and health status as per regulations. With Vietnam's borders remaining closed, foreign visitors' numbers in the first half of 2020 dropped 55.8% year-on-year. Relating to this, Alma, international visitors to Vietnam plummet 55.8% in first half of 2020. The number of international arrivals to Vietnam in the first 6 months of 2020 decreased sharply by 55.8%, according to the General Statistics Office. The decline is due to the fact that Vietnam is continuing to implement COVID-19 prevention and control measures and has not yet opened its doors to foreign travelers. International visitors to the Southeast Asian country this month are mainly experts and technical workers who are currently working on projects in Vietnam. Last but not least, Alma, Ho Chi Minh City 6 entry for foreign experts working on first metro line. Ho Chi Minh City authorities have requested the government to allow 83 foreign experts to enter Vietnam to work on the city's first metro route. They must test negative for the novel coronavirus and will be quarantined for 14 days upon entry. Boy Xuan Kung, head of Ho Chi Minh City Management Authority for Urban Railways, said at a meeting on Monday, chaired by Deputy Prime Minister Pham Binh Minh, to discuss projects using official development assistance. During the quarantine period, they would work remotely under the supervision of medical authorities, he said. Ho Chi Minh City plans to build 8 metro lines running a total of 220 kilometers. It is focusing on completing the first, which would connect the city center with its innovation urban area in the east. The line is now 73.5% complete, and this is expected to increase by to 85% by year end. So upon completion, these 3 metro lines will be connected to allow traffic from multiple directions into the city center. They will meet around 20% of public's travel demand. So Ho Chi Minh City Urban Railway Project is a planned rapid transit network that will serve Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. Its first metro line, Line 1, started construction in 2012 and is scheduled for completion in 2021. With, of course, the aim of avoiding the severe traffic congestion problems that have affected other Asian cities. That is all from Vietnam. Alma?
Thank you very much, Chriselle, for your updates. Thank you, EBC Vietnam Bureau.
Reporting live from Ho Chi Minh City, this is Chriselle Yacona. We live in interesting times.
Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern describes New Zealand as still a safe haven in a dangerous world. Joining us live from New Zealand is Greg Bessa. Hello, Greg.
Hi, good day, Alma, and to all our televiewers around the world. Here is the update here in New Zealand. On her press conference today, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern described New Zealand as a safe haven in a dangerous world after having no new cases for 2 days now. The number of active cases in New Zealand at present is 22, all of which have recently returned from overseas and are or were in managed isolation facilities. Prior to 16th of June this year, wherein 2 new cases of women who recently arrived from the United Kingdom were reported, New Zealand was free from coronavirus cases for 24 consecutive days. On the same press conference today, Director General of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Ashley Bloomfield, reported that there have been no cases of community transmission so far, but he is not ruling out a real possibility in the future. Both the Prime Minister Ardern and Dr. Bloomfield encourage the general public to remain vigilant so as not to squander the hard-won efforts in fighting against COVID-19. Since all of New Zealand's active cases are from the border, the Prime Minister declared yesterday that it would be dangerous for the country to reopen its border to the rest of the world, as he noted the surging of cases outside the country. Those who have been allowed to travel back to New Zealand are their nationals, referring to citizens and those with resident status, and those who are on work visas but are considered as essential workers. All of them will undergo strict quarantine procedures for 14 days at designated managed isolation facilities upon their arrival in the country, including the conduct of 2 testing procedures on the 3rd day of stay and prior to leaving from their respective facilities. As thousands of nationals are expected to arrive in New Zealand from abroad, the government strengthened its existing managed isolation and quarantine system to ensure that additional resources are in place to meet the increasing demands and to avoid any repeat of mishandling quarantine procedures. Live reporting from Wellington City, New Zealand, this is Greg Bessa. We live in interesting times.
Greg, just before I let you go, Air New Zealand canceled flights to Melbourne for 2 weeks because the city is experiencing a spike in cases. Just to reiterate, what additional measures have been put in place to remain on guard by Prime Minister Ardern?
Well, of course, as I mentioned a while ago, Alma, the Prime Minister and the rest of the cabinet ministers are working together to strengthen its procedures at the border. So she decided upon the consultation with the cabinet members that they will not be reopening the borders of New Zealand because all of the cases at present are from overseas. So international students will not be allowed to come to New Zealand this year, even those workers who are not being considered as essentials.
All right. Thank you very much, Greg, for your updates there in New Zealand. You stay safe and stay alert. Looking forward to more news from New Zealand. Thank you.
Thank you, Alma.
All right. ASEAN in Focus. We'll be right back.
Patindi ng patindi at tuloy-tuloy ang pagpapakita ng galing ng ating mga TNG aspirants.
You're just too good to be true. Open up, you came to get it drunk with a dame and shit it drunk. You got it when I was a child.
Abangan ng kanilang performances sa pinakamalaking talent competition sa buong bansa, Tagisan ng Galing. Tagisan ng Galing is presented by SMC Infrastructure, building a better world. Sanmig sugar-free white coffee, puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na Sanmig sugar-free white coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free. Vet-approved NutriChocs, the only premium dog food with active boost for optimum energy and prebiotics that help strengthen immunity. Just like Catherine Bernardo, gawing listo, ganado ang fur babies niyo. Listo ganado sa NutriChocs. Magnolia Chicken Templados, delicious, ready to cook and freshly marinated daily. Pure Foods Luncheon Meat, pure sarap for every family. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Walang duda, kids can tell na #1 ang Pure Foods Tender Juicy. Ang tender, ang juicy, ang sarap. Co-presented by Cooper, expert in air conditioning and electromechanical. Also engaged in structural, electrical, fire protection, plumbing, and sanitary services. Cooper, your ultimate MEPS and air conditioning solutions. Unlad Incorporated International, fight against global poverty. New San Jose Builders Incorporated. Canrib Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. Vita Herbs Philippines Green Coffee, masarap, mabango, at healthy pa. Puerto Rico Resort and Convention Center, Cabiao, Nueva Ecija. I love Puerto Rico. In participation with Rain or Shine Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint, Matimco, R Square Variables Incorporated, Compizel Enterprises, Saisho International Trading Corporation, DN Steel, EMAC UPB Roof Corporation.
Hey, Gretchen Ho here, and I'm a white coffee lover. Creamy kasi, and very yummy. Pero mas masarap kung hindi nakaka-guilty. Check my new discovery, Sanmig Sugar-Free White Coffee. Puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na! Sanmig Sugar-Free White Coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free.
Skyway Stages 1 and 2, the elevated toll road system project, run from a section of the South Luzon Expressway from Alabang to Magallanes, Makati. The Skyway Stage 3 is an elevated expressway connecting the South Luzon Expressway through the existing Skyway Stages 1 and 2 to the North Luzon Expressway via Balintawak. Skyway Stage 4 is an 80-kilometer mixed elevated and at-grade toll road that will connect the existing Skyway system, starting from the FTI section all the way to Bulacan.
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved NutriChocs with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat, packed with essential nutrients to help them grow healthy and happy. Listo, ganado sa Nutri-Chunks.
Ikaw lang ang star ng buhay ko. Para sa akin, perfect ka. Ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Pag Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, sarap ng corned beef, inangat pa ng real cheese cubes. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef.
Now, the low rates of vaccination due to the pandemic may signal a rise in other diseases. Joining us live from Vietnam is Eliana Faith Sebastian. Hello, Eliana.
Hi, Alma.
Hi. Good to see you. Go ahead.
Good to see you. Here's the latest update here in Vietnam. Low rates of vaccination may herald return of eradicated diseases. Low vaccination rates caused by the COVID-19 semi-lockdown for immunization services in remote areas and hesitance could signal the return of diseases. In the last few years, diphtheria has again reared its head in many central provinces, suffering low vaccination rates, according to Tran Duc Phu, a senior advisor at Public Health Emergency Operations Center under the Health Ministry. In Bac Nang province, where several diphtheria hotspots have been identified, vaccination rates are around 48 to 52%, while the national number is reported to be 95%. Falling vaccination rates have led to an increasing number of Vietnamese infected by diseases once thought conquered. Measles outbreaks occurred in 56 provinces during 2018 and 2019, for example. As much as 90% of reported measles patients either did not receive vaccinations, have not been fully vaccinated, or have an unknown vaccination status, according to the Deputy Director of the Hanoi Department of Health, Quang Duc Han. Certain of diseases like diphtheria and measles have posed a burden on the healthcare system and public health ascribed to low vaccination rates. Notably, measles and DPT-4, or the diphtheria, pertussis, and tetanus vaccination rates among children under 18 months old were 31.2 and 28.9%, lower than last year's numbers, Dr. Hong emphasized. A report from the World Health Organization, or the WHO, and the United Nations Children Fund, or the UNICEF, in 2019 also revealed Vietnam to be among the top 10 countries, accounting for 60% of 20 million unvaccinated children worldwide. According to the WHO, due to the COVID-19 pandemic around the world and in Vietnam, health workers have been reassigned to pandemic response and in many instances have also been discouraged to conduct routine activities involving physical interactions with healthy patients. WHO also named vaccine hesitancy as one of the top 10 biggest threats to global health last year. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much, Eliana. Thank you, EBC Vietnam Bureau.
Thank you so much, Alma. Reporting live from Da Nang, Vietnam. This is Eliana Faith Sebastian. We live in interesting times.
President Duterte retained the enhanced community quarantine status in Cebu City due to the continuing increase in the number of coronavirus cases in the area. Let's listen in.
Before you go into it, may I be allowed to just make a repeat of the para ito yung ACQ, Enhanced Community Quarantine. Ito yung pinaka mataas kasi marami na ang taong may infection. And as a matter of fact, we know that the hospitals and everything, they are having a hard time coping up. Ang enhanced community quarantine, Cebu City. Kayo lang. Ang general community quarantine, this is di masyado, is the National Capital Region, Benguet, Cavite, Rizal, Lapu-Lapu City, Mandawi City, Leyte, Ormoc, Southern Leyte. Sa Cebu Province, Talisay City, Minglanilla, and Consolacion. Now, dito sa Modified General Community, ito yung stricto yung local system doon. I will read it from 1 to 14. Makinig kayo ha. Sa Abra, Baguio, Ifugao, Kalinga. Region 1, Ilocos Norte, La Union, Pangasinan. Region 2, Cagayan, Isabela. Region 3, Bataan, Bulacan, Nueva Ecija, Pampanga, and Angeles City. Number 4, Region 4, Batangas, Laguna, Quezon, Lucena City. Region 4B, Palawan, Puerto Princesa City. Region 5, Albay, Camarines Norte, Camarines Sur, Naga City. Region 6, Capiz, Iloilo, Iloilo City, Negros Occidental, and Bacolod City. Ang Region 7 is Cebu Province, Bohol, pati Negros Oriental. Do not confuse dito Cebu. Yung isa, yung doon sa pinakadulo, pinakamataas, Cebu City. Malaki ang Cebu. Cebu City lang ang kasali. Nagsusolo siya. So, Tacloban, Zamboanga, Bukidnon, Davao del Norte, Davao del Sur, Davao City, Davao de Oro. And Region 12 is Cotabato and South Cotabato. Region 13, which is really Caraga ito, Agusan del Norte at Butuan lang. Ang Samarn, Lanao del Sur and Maguindanao. Ngayon, dito sa panghuli, yung Modified General Community Quarantine, that this applies for the rest of the country.
President Duterte made the announcement in a public address as he acknowledged that Cebu City is having a hard time coping with the challenges brought about by the COVID-19 crisis in the country. Based on the presentation of Health Secretary Francisco Duque III, Cebu City would remain under ECQ until July 15. President Duterte earlier placed Cebu and Talisay cities in Cebu province under ECQ and MECQ from June 15 to 30 due to the uptick in coronavirus cases in the areas. However, the community quarantine classification in Talisay City was downgraded to GCQ on June 22 following the high number of recoveries of COVID-19 patients. And New Zealand said that next year's APEC Summit of Asia-Pacific leaders will be held online, with Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern warning there is no guarantee the global coronavirus pandemic would be over by late 2021. The annual 21-nation Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Gathering was due to be held in Auckland in November 2021, attracting thousands of delegates, diplomats, and journalists to New Zealand's largest city. But with international travel crippled and the World Health Organization warning the pandemic is not even close to being over, the Prime Minister said her country was making an early call to stage the summit as a virtual event. New Zealand sealed its borders and imposed a strict lockdown to contain the virus early on, so far recording only 1,178 cases and 22 deaths in a population of 5 million. Asked why New Zealand had not sought to delay the summit by 12 months, Prime Minister Ardern said it would have created complications for 2022's nominated host nation, Thailand. Malaysia has yet to make a decision on the fate of this year's APEC summit, although some lead-up events have already been held online. New Zealand Foreign Minister Winston Peters said his country was adopting a pragmatic approach. In a statement, he said COVID-19 has seriously impacted how we conduct international diplomacy. And he said given the current global environment, planning to have such a large volume of high-level visitors in New Zealand from late 2020 onwards is impractical. More than 20,000 people were expected to visit New Zealand for the summit and its numerous lead-in meetings. Mr. Peters said if we had hosted an in-person APEC, we would have seen thousands of people entering New Zealand from late 2020 onwards, some from COVID-19 hotspots. He said we simply couldn't guarantee these people would be able to enter New Zealand without being quarantined. The decision to go virtual also eases a logistical headache for organizers who were struggling to find sufficient hotel rooms in Auckland after a fire late last year gutted the planned venue. And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Alma Angeles. We live in interesting times.